You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, and here from Drakewing Gaming. It's me on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Kingsguard, Koshiro's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarms, and you were up, and let's go. Koshiro. His ears twitched at the sound of your voice, and you surprised yourself with how stern you sounded. It was just the two of you right now. You would get the truth out of him. My father... Did you kill him? Were you the one to drive that blade through him? I might as well have. Enough of that! Did you or did you not kill him? Answer me truthfully. I don't want any lies or twists of the truth. No. Then he was dead before you arrived. I was too late to... You glared at him and he kept his answer short. Yes. And those scratches on the walls? They were there when I arrived. It seemed your father fought to protect himself. Then where were you? Why were you not by his side? We were attacked on the way to his room. I cleared a path for him to get away, but it was still too much for me to escape as well. But that is no excuse. It's my fault that he's killed. I should have tried harder. Leandros blames himself, but there was nothing he could do to stop them from making it into the castle. It was my fault. I wasn't perceptive enough, even with all the evidence being right in front of me. I was to be the first line of defense, and I failed at that. And now you've been hurt because of me. I am no Kingsguard. I could never live up to be like him. He was already beating you to the punch as the corners of his eyes started to sprout tears. When was the last time you had it? When was the last time you had saw him in such a reduced state? Months? No. Must have been years ago. Was he truly upset? Or was he trying to lower your guard with false tears? But what good would that do for him now? I don't even know if I should believe you. My mind is torn in two right now. Part of me wants to say that it wasn't you, not after all these years of service. But the other part of me wants to blame you for everything, to condemn you for this mess. Maybe I'm just jealous. You spent more time with my father than I ever got the chance to. I was always angry about that. I had it all in my mind that he wanted to abandon me, that you were to be the son he rather would have had. I thought all bridges were burned between us, but during those last days that I got to see him, I realized I was wrong. But now I can never see him again. I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't even know how I truly feel about any of this. Jake, I could never replace you. Me, I was just a servant to your family, nothing more. But you already know now that he cared deeply for you, and that his only wish was to see you safe. I wish I could just barely fulfill. I failed you and your father. There was just one job for me to do, yet it seemed that was too much for me. Jake, I'm ready to take any punishment you see fit, but even if you may never forgive me for my mistake, please, give me just one more chance. Allow me to stay by your side and keep you safe from harm until we at least reach your relative's estate. Allow him to stay. Okay. It'll take a while for me to trust you. I've always felt that way about you deep down inside, no matter what the truth was. But to bear this grudge against you, it would be wrong. I'm just as guilty as you are. I couldn't convince my father to stay with me. And I had years to try to mend our relationship, yet I did nothing but keep ourselves apart. If you really are telling me the truth, you truly wish to keep me safe, then you will have to prove yourself. Find whoever did this to me and my family and bring him to me. Your Majesty, you have my word. I will not fail you a second time. Koshiro rose from his kneeling position, though he kept his head low and eyes to the floor. It was now several days since the incident, but to you it happened yesterday. Everyone else had more time to grieve and accept his death, but the sight of his body was still fresh in your mind. You wish you knew what had become of him. Was his body found and laid to rest, or cremated in a sacred fire? You hoped he wasn't being ravaged by your enemies or had begun to rot. He turned to Koshiro, hoping he might be able to answer, but even he wasn't omniscient. With all these thoughts of death and doom, you were beginning to feel even more gloomy than before. The sun shining in through the window was a welcoming sight, and the air was starting to feel stale. You clambered out of bed with noticeable difficulty. Allow me to assist you. His arms wrapped around your waist as he helped you onto your feet. Thank you. Your legs were still weak, and moving forward was just as painful as it was difficult. It took you several minutes just to get to the door, but after that, you managed to walk with more ease down the hall. He passed through the halls, taking in the sights of all the survivors from Havana. Many of them were as heavily bandaged as you, some more so, others with just a few scrapes, bruises, or scars. It was a menagerie of men and beastmen, the young and the old, the rich and the poor. Anyone who was able to get aboard was invited in. The assassins discriminated against no one. Perhaps you were their target, but their bloodlust ensnared all these people as well. Even though the ship was packed with well over 100 survivors from the attack in Havana, you could tell there was more than enough room for several hundred more. You questioned just how something this large could support this many people and still stay afloat. Despite the gloom of the people in pain and in misery, the ship itself was a thing of beauty. It was as large as a small castle, with the grace and elegance of one as well. It made you question just where Marilyn and Esther managed to find such a ship, or the money to get one made at least. The ship had 6 decks, well over 100 spacious rooms for sleeping, 3 dining rooms, and numerous other rooms for recreational activities. It even had its own library. The ship sounds like a damn fortress. It was supposed to be the future of travel, at least from what Koshiro had told you, though he was probably repeating that from your aunt and uncle. Along the way to the upper deck, he pointed out a few nobles who paid an exorbitant fee to move their belongings and live on the ship. To you, it didn't seem like that bad of an idea. The ship already had all the comforts of home in one convenient place. There was even the added benefit of stopping in harbor for restocking that gave the passengers an opportunity to get out and explore new lands. Right now, though, the ship was going at full speed on a one-way trip to Valdenforth, a port town in southern Yusan. From there, it would be a half-day carriage ride inland to reach your relative's estate. You would remain there until the chaos in Havana had settled down and was deemed safe again to return. The thought of staying on board and traveling the world seemed like a good enough of an idea to you, though Koshiro seemed to be wary of this place. An assassin could easily have snuck on board, and while he had yet to see anything suspicious, he couldn't wait until you were safe at the estate. You wanted to tell someone about the mist you saw, about how it seemed to be emitted from the assassins and helped you determine who was ally and who was foe, but who would have believed you? For all they knew, it could have been a part of a dream you had, and they likely would have dismissed it as such. If someone had told you the same story, you know you would have done the same. But there was something about that mist and that intoxicating stench that was just impossible to ignore. You knew it was real and not just a trick of the mind. You emerged from the ship, sweating and almost out of breath. Even just taking the 2 flights of stairs to get to the upper deck was enough to wind you. The warmth of the sun and the breeze helped you cool off, and you felt a bit more refreshed. It would have been relaxing if it weren't for the various deckhands moving around so vigorously. Deckhands of various builds and races scurried around, either cleaning, securing crates and barrels, or working the sails. You turned to look at the horizon, and there was still nothing but clouds and sea. You did spy a single bird soaring overhead, though. Koshiro brought you over to a railing, and you leaned on it heavily. You had so little strength it was an exercise just to keep yourself standing. "Are you sure you can keep yourself upright?" "Yes, just need to build up a bit of strength in my legs." Your knees were quivering now, and your thighs started to burn. You likely looked like a feeble old man, but it was just a test. You could get through it. As you looked out over the boat, all you could see was water. It glimmered and stretched out for miles in all directions. Not a speck of land in sight. You couldn't even tell which direction Havana might have been. It was nice, though, to be in the middle of nowhere. You felt as though you were finally free. Free of danger, for now at least. Free to go somewhere new, but you would have to return home eventually. The worries of the world couldn't touch you out here, and if you were to stay on the ship forever, maybe you would never have to be concerned again. A bit of peace is what you needed, a slow and steady day. "Well, B, you're up and about. I was for sure you were to be bedridden for more than a week. Well, isn't that a miracle?" The voice was thick and heavy, but soft at the same time, his accent not belonging to any region in Yusan or even Brahm that you could recall. You had to get Koshiro to assist you in turning around to greet him. Different character, okay. Before you stood a large beastman, easily bigger than yourself or Koshiro, and likely even Leandros. He's probably around the size of Ramos. His gentle smile, as bright as the sun, and his soft-looking fur swaying oh so gently in the breeze, made him appear far more friendly despite his menacingly stout stature. He looked like a giant teddy bear, and his plump belly reminded you of your bed at home. You could almost imagine laying your head against it to rest. The soothing expanding and contracting of it with each breath, lulling yourself to sleep, would have been quite comfortable. You almost had to restrain your urge to run up and give him a big hug. You're that doctor who helped us.
But I am.
The beastman took another look back at you with concern, and a concerning look spread across his face.
I trust he has enough energy to be standing.
It didn't take the eye of a hawk to easily see how much trouble you were having just keeping balance. You looked like a toddler just learning how to walk. My apologies. I felt that he might need some fresh air, though I can see that this exercise might have been a bit too much for him.
That's quite all right. It's just good to see that one of my own patients is all well.
Koshiro? Ah, my liege. Jake, this is Dr. Declan Riverius. He was the one who helped save your life. Is that so?
I wouldn't say I'm a doctor as of yet. I'm still studying and have a long way to go.
He attempted a bow, but with his robust size, he wasn't able to bend his body as far without risking her tumbling forward. He gave you a goofy smile as he came back to his standing position. If he had to guess his age, you assumed he might have been maybe a few years older than yourself. It would have been rude to ask, though, so you left it down to that estimate. Everyone had told me that I probably wouldn't make it.
Ah, that? I'm still learning, so I made a bit of a judgment based on what I knew. At the time, I wasn't sure my skills were enough to truly save you. I did the best that I could with what knowledge I had, but at the end of the day, I wasn't confident that you were even going to make it. But here you are, standing before me. That is a miracle in and of itself.
I suppose you should probably take more credit for that. I wouldn't be standing here now if it wasn't for you, it seems. Thank you. You wanted to bow back, but found it near impossible without losing your balance.
Oh, please, there's no need for that. I just do what I can. Though it wouldn't hurt to feel a bit of pride, I suppose. Not many can claim they managed to save a prince. Ah, right. That was supposed to be a secret. I'm so sorry. Even though that lion friend of yours warned me to keep quiet about it. I really need to keep my lips sealed. All right, Declan, enough talking.
He brought his hand up to his lips and pretended to pinch them close.
Not really worried about that from me. I don't want my patients getting hurt again from my negligence.
Huh. Is there something wrong with... That will have to be a conversation for another time.
Again, I apologize about that.
Well, it's a good thing there isn't many people in earshot here.
Still, it's amazing that you have managed to heal so quickly from an injury like that. Why, if you had a bit more fur on, I would have thought you'd been a beast man.
Aside from generally being stronger and more resilient, beastmen were usually very quick to heal. Growing back an arm or a leg was obviously not possible, same with humans, but you did hear of some lizard-like beastmen capable of regrowing tails. Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to all of our lovely patrons. Thank y'all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!